What if All Might grew a beard?
I'd probably be okay with that. He's got a nice chiseled jaw.
Right?
He really does. I mean, Todoroki's dad has a fucking beard of fire.
Yeah.
How badass is that?
And it looks fabulous on him. But I just don't think it would look... Maybe as Deku gets older, but for now his baby face needs to stay a baby face, if you know what I'm saying. I don't even know if the boy can grow peach fuzz, if I'm being completely honest.
きっと約束だよいつかまた同じ笑顔で
Hello, one and all, and welcome to the box, the Any Chat Box. This is episode 61, and I'm your host, Gregory, Von Maximus III, twice removed. I hope you all are having a lovely evening this fine day, but I'm not alone in this endeavor this fine evening. I am joined, of course, by the producer extraordinaire, Cass.
Heyo, I'm here, somehow.
Good. We're also joined by the gentleman Shoujo, Jonathan Josar.
I am also here. I don't know why I'm more tired than I am because of what happened at work today, but that's another story for another
Suggested canon, John is sucking out all my energy.
Okay, I can believe it. And, naturally, the cinnamon roll of the podcast, Cammy.
Hello there, everybody. I wish I had something more original to say, but I mean, I'm here. I'm kind of awake, and we hope if you're not awake, we'll wake you up in this episode.
If you aren't already in love with his accent, now John is an English vampire.
What?
Lies.
Truths.
You know what also is the truth?
Mm-hmm.
The hot social media deets of this podcast. Twitter.com/theanychatbox for your short form inquiries to us. We post the status updates of the podcast every Monday. You can email us in long form if you have a topic suggestion or an anime you wish to review, new or old. We've gotten some, but we will save that for a later episode. So again, that is anychatmail@gmail.com. Again, that is anychatmail@gmail.com. And naturally, you can listen to us on any of these fine podcast services around the globe, such as iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and SoundCloud. Leave us a review. 5 stars are more than welcome, and we will read any review that you leave us, kind or otherwise. We always like critiques. And finally, if you find it with your heart of hearts, aka Kingdom Hearts, hit us up on Patreon, patreon.com/anychatbox. And now, finally, it is time to get down with today's episode. Spring 2018 seasonal Splash Tank.
Woohoo!
AKA our impressions. Naturally, we do these round robin, 2 shows per host. So to kick us off, Cammy.
All right. Yes, I am here, and today the first thing that I'll be doing an impression on is Tada-kun wa koi wo shinai, or the show Tada-kun Never Falls in Love. So the studio behind Tada-kun is Doga Kobo, who's responsible for New Game and Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun. And the synopsis for the story is as such. Mitsuyoshi Tada, a boy who has never known love, is taking pictures of the cherry blossoms in full bloom when he meets Teresa Wagner, a transfer student from Luxembourg. Well, and actually, I'm trying to remember, I think they give it like a fake name that sounds like Luxembourg in the show. Anyway, upon arriving in Japan, she got lost, separated from her travel companion. Mitsuyoshi helps her and brings her to his grandfather's coffee shop. Okay, so let's see. I had a couple notes that I took this time around when I was watching my impressions, so this may be a little
Ooh.
shot bang, we will see. The first
Nice.
thing I noticed about this show is that the art is beautiful. If you have seen other works by Doga Kobo, this would come as no surprise. The colors are very vibrant, the lines are clean and sharp, and they like to pay attention to pretty eyes and details like flower petals, which happens when he's photographing Teresa in full bloom. And plot-wise, the first 2 episodes were mainly setup, and I honestly found the first 2 episodes pretty bland because of that. And let's see. The setting, though, was pretty intriguing. The coffee shop is beautiful. It's, very comforting. It's a nice little town. There are very bizarre references that I feel like are there to be comedic, but they don't hit, and, I always just kind of notice them, and I'm like, why are we putting in these references that, don't make sense? So I find the comedy of this show a little off-putting. I heard that a lot of the staff of Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun was actually behind this, and I mean, I have to say personally, I don't think their comedy is anywhere near on point to Nozaki-kun, which I thought was hilarious. Let's see. Although the best character in the show is the really fat cat that Tada-kun owns. He is amazing. His little just on-screen moments are great. And then episode 3, which I found to be the strongest episode, is completely narrated by this cat. And I was like, if I could have this entire show narrated by the cat, it would be amazing. But the 3rd episode was really strong, and instead of doing the setup, basically, that we saw in the first 2 episodes, it's starting to slowly hint at, the characters' motivations and get a little more in-depth with them. And I do feel like they are going to get into some backstories, which could be interesting. The other thing I haven't noticed I haven't mentioned, is that this is a show with a large cast, so there is the potential for multiple couples. Some are definitely more interesting than others. They make it very clear off the bat who's going to get with who, and some of it seems really cliche. But some of them I'm interested in seeing. Lastly, the show really makes me want coffee because the detail that they put in the coffee that they make, just looks delicious, and it's a problem. But it's a good problem to have. So when I first was watching the show, I was like, this is boring. It's not going to pass. But then I thought that I was being very hard on it, especially because I found myself comparing it to other romantic comedies. And that's not really a fair shot to be made, per se. And the 3rd episode did really catch my interest. So for pretty art and what I think could be a good show, and if it falls a little bit, it's going to be a harmless thing, I am going to swim Tada-kun Never Falls in Love. And it's going to swim in a frothy latte that's all nice and warm.
I'm excited about this. I actually have held off on starting it because I was worried about it being kind of meh.
Yeah.
I trust your opinions, and we have pretty similar tastes, at least when it comes to comedies, and especially romantic comedies. So this is actually good this is good to hear. I am excited to watch it.
Yay! Good.
Awesome. John, you're up. What you got?
Alright, so the first series I'm going to be talking about today is Sword Art Online Alternative Gale Online. It's been animated by Studio 3 Hertz, who also did Dimension W, Flip Flappers, and Princess Principal.
Oh, okay.
The synopsis goes, Karen Kohiru Maki, that took me way too many tries to read, always felt out of place in the real world. Due to her extreme height, she found it hard to make friends with other girls her age. Everything changes when she's introduced to VR and Gale Online. In GGO, Karen is free to play the cute chibi avatar of her dreams. Can Karen find friendship in this bullet-ridden MMO?
Can she?
Can she?
Does love bloom on the battlefield?
Whoa. It said friendship. I think you're moving a little too fast, Greg.
I'm also making a reference to another video game.
Oh.
Yarr. Metal Gear.
Yep, he gets it.
It's cute. It's fun so far, but episode 1 has these moments where it goes into first person, like first-person shooter, and I kind of wish they didn't. It doesn't look good.
Nope.
I get what they
Yikes.
were trying to get at, but it feels kind of short of the mark, and I think there's other ways they could have done it and would have worked probably worked better to convey the feeling they were trying to get at, and probably would have looked a lot better too. But they're kind of teasing at this group of girls in real life that she's going to be friends with somehow, who are like half as tall as she is. But like even so far in episode 3, we haven't seen that. And as much as I'm enjoying it, I do feel like unless you are invested in the world of Sword Art Online and do want to just find out a bit more about Gungao Online and events that don't involve Kirito, you're probably going to be a bit bored by this. There's not really anything that's going so far that's been like, hey, this is going to be something really interesting to watch. So I'm going to continue watching it anyway, but I am going to sink it.
Okay.
Into.
That's
Gotta start
the
getting
universal
creative.
question.
How about in the grease of the winner chicken dinner?
Yeah.
PUBG.
It's got a very PUBG-ish first episode.
It does
That's
have a
the
very
truth.
PUBG-ish first episode.
Yep.
I think I'm proud of you just for recognizing, like, when a show that basically extends itself from a deep franchise, like, recognizing when it's just something for the fans of the franchise to enjoy versus something that there's something unique or, like, standalone about it that makes it worth watching. So, like, I appreciate your foresight.
Definitely.
I mean, who knows? There might be some brilliant thing that happens later on that will make me kick myself, but the first 3 episodes are not showing any indication of that. It's just like, I am socially awkward and want to make friends and don't feel like I can do that in real life. But hey, in this game, I'm tiny and cute, and somehow really kick ass and super fast for some reason.
They don't explain the god powers, do they?
They haven't explained how she's super fast in the game at all.
Hmm.
My thought was that, and this is just a thought, her character looks kind of like a bunny rabbit, including her hat. So I'm thinking like it just might be the clothing she has equipped. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but that's what my thought was.
Speed perks. All speed.
Also, her being extremely small might make her,
That's
Quite
true.
nimble and quick.
There's an
Yee.
amusing moment where she hides in a suitcase.
Yeah, that was interesting.
All right. On to me then.
Next on the chopping block.
So first up on this chopping block, we have the Gonagai Year of Gonagai. First Devilman Crybaby, then Mazinger Z, the movie, and then now Kitty Honey Universe. Studios production. Read what they've done, and there's when I looked this up earlier this evening, there's been a lot which I have not seen by them. A lot. One of them being Aquarion, and something more recent is Isekai wo Smartphone Tsutomo ni. Synopsis goes as such. One day, Honey Kisuragi's trendy glass-cutting Catholic... one day, Honey Kisuragi is a trendy class-cutting Catholic schoolgirl. The next, her father has been murdered by demonic divas from a dastardly organization called Panther Claw. When his dying message reveals that she's in fact an android, Honey uses the transformative power of the atmospheric element solidifier, the very thing Panther Claw wanted to steal, to seek revenge against the shadowy clan. Can Honey fight her way up Panther Claw's ranks to defeat its leader, the sinister Sister Jill, while managing to escape the watchful eyes of Miss Histler, her school's headmistress? Aided by journalist Hayami Seiji, his ninja father, and his lady-loving grade school brother, Honey sometimes appears as a race car driver, sometimes a glamorous model, and sometimes as a beggar, but her true identity is none other than the warrior of love, Cutie Honey. So, impressions for this show. This show is fun. Although I will say, much like what John said with the Sword Art Online property, the GGO Online, if you're not really invested or you don't know what the fuck Cutie Honey is, this show kind of just throws you deep into the pool and then expects you to kind of understand what the fuck is going on. That being said, this property, Cutie Honey, is not necessarily the most deep in the grand scheme of things. It's literally kind of like Monster of the Week, but even the character interactions aren't the most deep. It's a lot of it's fan servicey. It looks good. The character designs look good. The transformations look good. It's striking in that sense, but it's not necessarily the deepest. So, short and sweet, this sinks. Mm-hmm. It's fun. I'm going to continue to watch it, but for the grand scheme of things, I believe that this just me saying, hey, it's on High Dive if you want to check it out, but otherwise there are literally 4 other iterations of Cutie Honey, one of which was done by Gainax, one of which was done by Toei Animation. The other 2, I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head. There's even a live-action adaptation of Cutie Honey out there too, it's Tokusatsu. So it is got reverence, and it's got staying power, but for all intents and purposes, yeah, it sinks.
So I'm guessing that kind of like Precure, you can jump in anywhere. Cutie Honey isn't something you should probably just jump in on Universe.
I believe so. With that being said, episode 2 does kind of hint at what her backstory is, but it does have some inconsistencies, like some slight usage of CG. It's not egregious, mind you, but again, yeah, I would honestly think maybe Cutie Honey would be a better servicing point, or I don't even know if the manga is available in the States, but yeah.
What does it sink into?
It sinks into deep passion of lesbian teachers hiding behind the bushes as they are getting down and funky.
Were those lesbians in the first episode? Yeah. I couldn't tell. Yep. Oh, nice.
Yeah, there are 2 girls.
Nice.
It's definitely got 70s art style with the character designs. So
yeah.
Alrighty then. That leaves us with Cass for round 1. What do we got, Cass?
All right. So the first show I am going to talk about is Mahou Shoujo Site. Its studio is Project Doa, or Project lowercase d, lowercase o, capital A, which is, that's something. It's kind of a new studio. It's only done one other thing, which was Gochuman wa Usagi desu ka, Dear My Sister, which it looks like just might be a movie. So this is their first full-length television series, and Lord does it show, but that's okay. That's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and read the synopsis. So, Aya Asagiri is a middle school girl who has problems both at school with bullying and at home from physical abuse by her brother. While browsing online, a website pops up on her computer featuring a creepy-looking person. Understatement of the century. This person appears to take pity on her and announces that she is granted Asagiri magical powers. So, here's the thing about Magical Girl site. I made a joke about the animation, but I think that as of the first couple of episodes, or at least as of the first 3, it's at least consistent. Like, I like the character design, surprisingly enough. It's still kind of janky, but it's a new studio, and I've actually seen worse from first-time productions. A ton of them, actually. So, in that department, I'm not complaining too much. The opening is one of the trashiest openings I have ever seen animated in my series of watching anime, period. It looks like Baby's first AMV project in Sony Vegas, where they just took 16 filters and dropped it over the entire timeline.
I thought it was a way to avoid copyright on YouTube.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. The sad thing is that if you took away all of the filterings and the broken glass and the chains and the terrible coloring, it would actually probably be an okay opening. And honestly, kind of like the song. They do change up the endings, which I think is kind of interesting and kind of fun. They actually have a performance at the end of episode 3, which I didn't see coming, and I really enjoyed. And the thing is that this show is basically this season's Madoka Magica ripoff. Let's see how hard we can edge into the next universe. but I like it because I'm into that kind of crap. But nobody else here is. So, taking that into consideration, Mahou Shoujo site, also, something I want to say before I finish my complete thought, is very, very graphic. This is a young girl who is bullied for the sake of bullying, and that's another reason why I'm not particularly a fan of this show. Don't get me wrong, I like it for all of the wrong reasons. It's like watching a train crash over and over. But maybe like watching simultaneous train crashes on multiple different surveillance cameras or something.
Different dynamic shots.
But there's a lot of stuff in here that you should definitely stay away from and definitely not check out if it's something that makes you really uncomfortable. There is some animal violence, which I was warned about. It is off screen, but if something like that just completely turns you off, do not look at this. The bullying is taken to an extreme. There are thumbtacks and shoes, glues on chairs. Her physical abuse with her brother that's listed in the description is very, very uncomfortable. It's not just like, oh, he slaps her and like, oh, it's abuse at home. It's like literal beating the shit out of his little sister.
Hey.
It's also got some pretty gratuitous, creepy imagery, mostly from the site admin from the site she goes on. And also, I think the implementation of these being quote-unquote magical girls is done even worse than that of Magical Girl Raising Project, in that they don't even really have magical girl transformations. They just have magic sticks that anybody can use. You can steal another magical girl stick and use it. There is a really, well, I won't say cool, but there is an interesting price to pay if you do continue to use either your stick or the sticks of other people, and that your life force will start to drain. Which I don't really qualify that as a spoiler. It's explained in episode 2. So if that sounds like something that would interest you, something that's very edgy with what seems to be what they're trying to go for as a magical girl kind of aesthetic, then, you know, maybe give it a shot. But it's trashy, it's bad, it's full of a lot of creepy and terrible imagery, and it probably will make a lot of people very triggered.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch all of it because I hate myself, but nobody else here has to, you know, watch it at all. So I am going to go ahead and sync it, and I will sink it into the tears that I will inevitably shed from the time I waste by episode 12.
Oh, no. Is it bad that I thought you were going to say in the sperm that just, like, permeates the earth? In the
oh my god.
credits?
Can we switch to that? Like, the ending, the first ending is, like, just a crap ton of sperm swimming around, and I don't understand.
It's disgusting.
I don't know. Like, I honestly thought it was funny.
It was fun. Oh, it was. Go look it up, people.
It's interesting. And if anything, go and look up episode 3's ED. It's a pretty cool, interesting idol performance, but
yeah.
All right, let's move back around.
Yeah, back to you, Cammy.
Okay. So this next one is called Comic Girls, and it is done by Studio Nexus, who has not done too many things. I found the show Wakaba Girl and Chivalry of a Failed Knight, which came out like a couple seasons ago. Or maybe not a couple seasons ago, maybe like a couple years ago. Okay. And the synopsis for this, get ready, it's very long-winded and complicated. The daily life of up-and-coming female mangaka living together in a dormitory. Bam! Is your mind blown?
I don't think I can. Oh.
Oh my god.
It should be.
Oh my Reese's.
This is a very complex air quote show. If the title didn't even give that away, because it's the most blunt title I have ever heard. So I will say what drew me to this show initially was the art. The art is really pretty. I love the art style. It's very much the like comforting cute girls doing cute things. There's definitely a commitment to the manga aspect in the visual style. There's a lot of like panel gags and just like framing stuff that makes it stylistically feel like, okay, these are manga artists. We're going to be very artistic and quirky, which I really liked. And I will also elaborate that the gist of like the four girls that are living together is pretty cute. So our main character she draws like cutesy manga, and she doesn't really have like her footing. She lived out in the forest with cute animals and her grandmother for some reason. So she just hasn't seen the world. That's why she goes to move to Tokyo and live in this dormitory. And her roommate is like a very cute, like fun, Genki girl. And she draws shoujo manga, and she's like very pretty and shoujo-esque. And then their senpais, one of them draws hentai manga, and the other one draws shonen manga. And, like, the shonen manga girl, like, she'll just get really intense all of a sudden, and she kind of, like, grabs an eye patch and does the Chunibyo thing, and is like, you have to unlock your secret power, blah, blah, blah. It's really cute. The spin on the girl who draws hentai is she really wanted to draw cute animal manga, but, like, they said something about how her art style was sexual, so she has to draw porn to, like, survive. So, yeah, there's...
Now draw!
I think I found my best girl.
She is kind of the best girl. The characters are fun. They have cute little bits to them, and the art style and the aesthetic is so comfortable, you know, and maybe that's something that I just noticed because I am missing, like, my Yuru camp and stuff from last season. But, like, it's a nice little house. It feels lived in. It's warm. Everything kind of gives me almost an Animal Crossing vibe, like that sort of comfy level. Lots of good colors and stuff. However, as far as the story goes, we're not covering any new ground, is something that I put in my notes. You know, it just feels like we're going through the motions. You've got high school girls. The main girl is socially awkward. She's learning how to make friends. She's, like, having new experiences. Also, she annoys the shit out of me because they just always make her, like, cry and whine, and she, like, can't do anything on her own, and just, it's an archetype that I see all the time and I'm not super fond of. She doesn't have enough, like, unique qualities to her. And it also does the thing, which I think in some shows it can be forgivable or is acceptable, but they're doing the thing where all of the female characters, even adults, are drawn to look and act like 6 or 7-year-olds. And it just is something that I don't always have the patience for nowadays, I think. Like, you know, you had the characters in Yuru Camp, like, drawn very young, but, like, you know, Rin is going on a motorcycle out to camp by herself. Like, they're doing things that show them to be competent, and sometimes it's like, if there's one character in a cast that maybe fits that, it doesn't bother me as much, but it feels like the entire show, like, a lot of the cast is kind of going that really young route. Another good thing about it is there are strong Yuri vibes. In the first episode, they kind of laid out the potential pairings, and I thought that was fun. So yeah, I mean, I have on and off feelings about this show. I would say if you're really looking for just kind of like that comfort, like, turn your brain off, just enjoy something nice and light, Comic Girls is a good option, but I do think that in a strong season, and, like, even when I just compare it to the comfort shows of, like, last winter, it's not really anything special, so it is going to sink in a bottle of ink.
Hardcore.
Fair enough.
All right. John, your second pick.
All right. My second pick for this season is Gundam Build Divers. And I'm going to say this, I looked on my anime list, and they have nothing except for the fact that the series exists listed on there, and like produced by Sunrise. Okay, studio blank. Synopsis blank. So I've had to go over to Anime News Network instead, and their
What do they
listing
say?
is kind of confusing as to like there's art studio, and they've credited.
We know it's Sunrise though. So
Yeah.
Anime
all
production
Sunrise.
Studio Naya. Okay, who are Studio Naya? They have worked on Gundam Build Divers.
Oh.
And what else?
Another new one.
Gundam Build Divers. But clicking around on these names, they're like, oh, this people has worked on this long list of shows. Okay, so they're not new people, but they're, I don't know. Anywho, the plot summary on Anime News Network is: in the near future, Gunpla battles are held in a new, massively multiplayer online game called Gunpla Battle Nexus Online, or GBN for short, where players immerse themselves and their Gunpla in a virtual world and battle other players around the world. Riku Minami, a 14-year-old student, looks to follow the footsteps of top Gunpla diver Kyoya Kujo and his Gundam 00 diver in his ragtag team. It's another build series, much like Build Fighters Try, and the earlier made flop that was Beginning Gundam. But so far, it's been super fun. It's been really fun as a Gundam fan, seeing all the references and nerding out on all of that. But even just as a series, like setting all the Gundam stuff aside, as just a series, it is a really fun series about a couple of kids, a couple of boys, diving headlong into this into this virtual world where they get to pilot giant robots that they can customize themselves, and getting fighting other pilots, winning, losing, getting frustrated, and wanting to be better, and just so many good feels about this series, and I'm just like 110% for that. And again, as a Gundam fan, this is all held up more by all the Gundam references that I'm picking up on. So I am super excited about this series, and it has not been disappointing me thus far. And I've been really super excited about it. I actually ended up breaking my 3-episode rule on this series because I couldn't wait for the next episode at all.
That's a great sign.
So yeah, Cassie has also been watching it.
I have, and I really think that this is one of this might actually be the like feel good show of the season. Like it's just nice. Very delightful and fun. And I was super burnt after Try. I didn't even finish Try because I was just so burnt out. Especially because Gundam Build Fighters was just so good. We actually reviewed that one a while ago, and I think most of us either liked it a lot or loved it, or maybe we all loved it. I don't remember. But I know that everybody here at least enjoyed their time, and Try messed that up, and then I saw the PV for Divers, and I was like, oh no, another MMO game. Oh my god, just stop. And I watched the first few episodes, and it was actually really good. I will say one thing, building off of John's comment, is if you can, because I'm pretty sure this is gonna swim. If you are gonna watch this, guys, and anybody out there, watch it with somebody who likes Gundam, or at least just likes robots, because one of the things that's making this experience for me is I'm watching it with my significant other, and the noises that are made during the viewing are so entertaining.
Aww.
I believe that one of the things was, oh my god. I'm so hot and bothered. I think I'm in love.
That's different than what I was expecting. Okay. I was thinking fanboys.
There are...
That's disturbing.
Cassie
There
has
are
explained this
also-
story to me. That was actually in response to one of the Gundams that appeared.
Well, that was also in response to the gigantic explosions that came afterwards. Like,
Also
there
that.
also there are sounds of glee and happiness, but also
That.
happiness.
Is that what we're gonna call it?
Yeah. So anyway, it's pretty great. Everyone should watch it. It's good.
Mm.
Awesome.
Mm.
So yeah, if as Cassie already called me out, this swims.
Woo!
I'm also really the intro to Build Divers is actually one of my favorite intros I've heard this season.
It's catchy. I didn't like it at first. Then it grew on me, and then I listened to it for like 3 hours.
One thing I should note about this show that I heard through Zach is that the character designer is the same from My Beloved Orphans. So, also a fun tidbit for that show.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to call that from just looking at it.
It's in the hair. In the face. Okay, then. Second up for me is Magical Girl Ore, otherwise known as Mahou Shoujo Ore. Studio is Pero Plus. What they've done is Beelzebub and the new Tokyo Ghoul not Tokyo Ghoul, like actual like math sign, root A or whatever they called it. So the synopsis goes as such. The story is about a 15-year-old girl who's a newbie idol in love with her best friend's brother, who is also a popular idol. God, I can't words today. But she then runs into a scary Yakuza guy and finds out that her mother was an ex-magical girl, and the Yakuza guy was her mascot. Her love interest gets kidnapped by demons that look like burly men with cute squirrel heads. So she contracts the Yakuza to become a magical girl, which in this story means she turns into a handsome guy in a magical girl outfit. On top of that, her love interest shows an attraction towards her magical guy persona. Her best friend turns out to be in love with her and also becomes a magical cross-dressing guy to save her life. Thus, their manager, who's a magical girl geek, then decides to turn them into an idol unit. So the reason why I chose this and come to you on this fine evening to talk about the first 3 episodes of this is because it looked like a hilarious, bizarre, JoJo's-esque with magical girls anime. Basically, the first 3 episodes we get introduced to the premise of the magical girl. The Yakuza guy is an actual mascot. Shout out to the Yakuza guy, by the way. I think he's the best character in this entire show. This show tries to be more of a comedy than an actual, like, serious, bizarre, like, outrageous action show, and maybe I set my expectations a little too high with this one, whereas something like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you had the burly ripped men in the first 3 parts of Araki's work. This one kind of feels like it does that, but then it kind of cuts the corners of trying to show the action. Like, it shows it, but then it just doesn't feel fluid. The animation kind of seems like it's cutting some corners here and there. Like the faces don't really seem like fully fleshed out. Then again, this show is strictly a comedy, and it's supposed to be out there and kooky and zany. This humor for me doesn't hit. By episode 3, we got some of the backstory of the best friend, and in the first 2 episodes, we understand the premise of the magical girl stuff. If you haven't gathered by now, this show sinks into the blood of the beaten demons with the squirrel faces, because literally, the main girl, Saki, gets a magical girl rod, and she's like, okay, how do I use this? Do I get a magical girl attack? No. The Yakuza guy with scars all over his face, sunglasses, like cigarette, he just yells, he's like, no, you gotta beat him to death. Hard cuts to black. You see a pile of corpses censored, and the Yakuza fairy guy is sitting on top of the pile of corpses smoking a cigarette. And she's just covered in blood. And I'm just like, damn, that escalated quickly. I mean, this really got out of hand. So yeah, it sinks.
Obviously, the edgiest magical girl show of the season. Looks to the left.
You're right. I don't know. I'm very... Cass, didn't you say that there's dedicated fans of this show? Like,
I mean, yeah, there's always going to be people who like this kind of comedy. And that's why when you said nobody would like this show, I'm like,
I will say, I feel as though, like, pacing wise, I think it would be better as like a short or like a 15 minutes episodes or something like that. Maybe that's just me. Shoutouts to Crunchyroll, though, for getting the first 2 episodes way before the fact. I don't know what they got some pull, man, because I watched the first 2 episodes and I had to wait like a hot minute for episode 3 to drop, because then the show officially dropped in Japan and went week by week. So
interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with you on all of your points, Craig, especially it probably should have been shorter, like little short 5 minutes to 10 minute shorts. Those would be great. Like, I agree with all of your comments. I'm just bluntly saying, like, this show is not for anyone is a little rough, considering it does have a fan base. It's just not our kind of comedy, which is fine because we don't want to watch it.
Ain't that the truth? And with that being said, it falls to you, Cass, to round us out for the evening.
All right, rad. So I am going to be talking about My Hero Academia Season Trace, the beloved My Hero Academia. So we've talked about the show a couple of times, I think, at this point, and it's really nothing different than what it was before. It's the 3rd season, but I'm going to go ahead, and I did not have it pulled up yet because I am a sloppy person. But I do want to give full A++++ props to the first couple episodes of the show because they are friggin' gorgeous. My Hero Academia is really good about its animation budget being relatively well paced, and they always seem to start out strong. That happened with season 1, season 2, and season 3 so far. And we can thank Studio Bones for that, which is no real surprise. They've done a lot of really great things, Noragami, Soul Eater, Full Metal Alchemist, to name a few. So the animation being nice and pretty right out the boat, really not surprising. And also it staying consistent through several seasons also leaves things not very surprising. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the synopsis, which on my anime list is just 3rd season of My Hero Academia. So that's not very helpful.
Mal's got to step up their game.
I know, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and go back to season 1, and we can go ahead and expand from there. So the appearance of quirks, newly discovered superpowers, has been steadily increasing over the years, with 80% of humanity possessing various abilities, from manipulation of elements to shape-shifting. This leaves the remainder of the world completely powerless, and Izuku Midoriya is one such individual. So going from that, he's basically born quirkless, and from there we meet All Might, who's his hero. No pun intended, in My Hero Academia. And he wants to be just like All Might. And All Might, through season 1, I think at this point it wouldn't be much of a spoiler to say he becomes his mentor. And at this point, we've been following his journey in the Hero Academia at UA Academy. And at this point in his journey, they're trying to, at this point, learn more about the Villains Alliance, which has risen as of the end of season 2, for reasons I am not going to spoil. I think that the show is not old enough yet for me to dive too deep into those reasons. But that's basically where we're picking up. We're picking up right where we left off, with the exception of the first episode being a pool episode and a flashback episode. And I will say that while this may be something that's not very uncommon, it did leave a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth because I don't believe that there was enough of a break between the 2 seasons to warrant the first episode being a flashback filler episode. Also, they have shown with the previous season that they are fully capable of releasing a kind of flashbacky recap episode and a new episode at the same time. And I don't understand why they didn't do that this time, whether it was production issues or something else. But I will say that kind of soured my mood. I was very excited. I'm one of the biggest My Hero Academia fangirls I know, and I was very disappointed. But episodes 2 and 3 are good. They're great. They're fantastic. It's more of the same. It's good. It's like you wake up and you eat a bowl of Oreo-O's and it's your favorite cereal. And you know what you do the next day? You eat the same damn thing and it's just as good. And that's
your favorite cereal?
Yes, it is as of right this moment. They're really good. You guys should check them out if you haven't already. Oreo-O's. It may taste like you're just eating Oreos for breakfast and you can get around it without feeling like you're not an adult because it is in a cereal box. It's good.
You know, I was just, to backtrack just a teeny bit, episode 0's, you know, I'm honestly surprised that Bones didn't do it. Like, I'm watching another show that's not for review or impression, High School DxD. They did an episode 0. Bones, why didn't you episode 0 this one?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure last season they did, like, episode 14 and then episode 13.2 or 0.5 or something like that. So they released a recap along with something new. And it's not like they didn't have the backing or the fan base that they needed to have that there. It I don't understand. And this is Studio Bones.
3 years after the fact, so
I can't see why that was necessary, but we're going to get off that saltiness because I do want to talk about what's great about this show. And it's all been said before. It's got a great, colorful cast. Everyone who was beautiful before is beautiful now. They're setting up some really good, tense moments. And as of episode 4, which I did watch, we've already got a badass fight scene. I know we're only supposed to talk about the first 3 episodes, but, you know, fuck you. I'm the producer.
Man.
So
that 4th episode's fucking toy.
We're just ignoring the existence of episode 1, quote unquote.
Okay, yeah, you know
at
what?
this
Let's
point.
go with that. Episode 1 was a filler episode. I get to talk to... God bless you, John. This is why we keep you here. Anyway. But yeah, we've already got a really badass fight. Something that made me tear up. I actually watched episode 4 today, this afternoon, and I had tears in my eyes because I was just so emotionally impacted. This show is good. Boku no Hero Academia is a good show. However, and I talked to everybody about this, I'm going to tentatively sync this. And that's because we have talked about My Hero Academia at length already. And I feel like this show is going to continue for a while. It's a shonen show that's very popular. So I think that at this point we can sync the show to bring it afloat again when it gets closer to a conclusion, if we're still podcasting at that point.
Good idea.
But I think for now, when it comes to Boku no Hero Academia, it will, of course, as the seasons continue to come out, season 4, season 5, which I'm pretty sure they will, we could probably still do initial impressions to make sure the show is still pretty dang good, because let's be honest, we're all watching it.
Yep.
But unless something arises that I feel that we really need to discuss, or the other podcast hosts feel that we need to discuss, I'm going to leave this open to them as well. I think that Boku no Hero deserves a special sync, and that it's just sinking into an ice cube tray to be frozen and served later.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, when that later is, we'll TBA it, but for now, we're going to go ahead and sync it. We're not going to talk about season 3 at length unless we feel that we need to. I'm sure another host will let me know, or I will let you know. But for now, we don't need to keep saying the same things that have already been said. It's going to continue to be good.
For now, it's the Captain America of our anime choices.
Yes, it's gone into cryo sleep.
Capsicle.
Is it gonna grow a beard?
Please no. Deku would not look good with a beard, guys.
No, he wouldn't.
Deku.
I can't imagine him with a beard.
Listen, some people's faces can do it. Deku?
No.
Just no, don't, no. His baby face is one of his best attributes.
Yes.
What if All Might grew a
I'd probably
beard?
be okay with that. He's got a nice chiseled jaw.
Right?
He really does. I mean, Todoroki's dad has a fucking beard of fire.
Yeah.
How badass is
And it
that?
looks fabulous on him. But I just don't think it would look... Maybe as Deku gets older, but for now his baby face needs to stay a baby face, if you know what I'm saying. I don't even know if the boy can grow peach fuzz, if I'm being completely honest.
Ain't that the truth? Okie dokie. So, recap of this Impressions Seasonal / Tank Round 1 tonight. So I talked about Cutie Honey Universe and Magical Girl Ore, or Mahou Shoujo Ore. They both sank. Kami talked about Tada-kun wa Koi wo Shinai, aka Tada-kun Never Falls in Love. She swam that. And Comic Girls, she sank that. Cass, you talked about Mahou Shoujo Site, also known as Magical Girl Site. You sank that. And My Hero Academia, or Boku no Hero Academia, Season 3. You're Captain America-ing this, aka freezing this, and sinking it simultaneously. John, you talked about Gundam Build Divers and Sword Art Online, alternative Gun Gale Online. You swam the Gundam Build Divers, and you sank the Gun Gale Online.
We've had a lot of sinks this episode. I
only
just
2
realized.
things swam.
That's great! We got a big backlog, guys.
We really do.
Really fucking do. Alright, so, again, this has been episode 61 of the Chat Box. I've been Craig, that's been Cass, that's been Jojo, aka Jonathan Joestar, that's been Cammy. If you want to hit us up on the social media, you can. Twitter.com/the Email anychatmail@gmail.com. Again, that is anychatmail@gmail.com. And until next time, everyone, peace out.
Bye, me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-o!